Hi, can you see me, hear me clearly?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. So let's start today's session. Keep your back and neck straight. Sit comfortably and gently close your eyes. Just start observing your breath. Slowly and gently become aware of your body. Check the alignment of your posture. And if you feel the need, adjust your body. Slowly and gently shift your attention back to the breathing. Begin to elongate your breath. Allow your mind to relax as you deepen your breathing. After your next inhalation, retain the breath in for about 2 seconds and then go into the process of exhalation. We will open today's session by chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Take a deep breath in for Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel the vibrations. Join your palms together. Begin to rub your palms together. Keep your palms on your eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, begin to open up your eyes and come back with a big smile. Namaste to everyone. Let us begin today's session. So today we are going to complete the concept of Raj Yoga. We have been discussing about Raj Yoga since the previous session. And yesterday I told you the practices for an advanced level student. So in the first chapter itself, all of this concept is cleared so that the advanced level student can read it and go on their, proceed on their journey, right? Then as you come to the second chapter, the concept of Kriya Yoga has been given by Patanjali. This is the practice for an intermediate level student. And he has included three things in the practices of Kriya Yoga. K-R-I-Y-A, Kriya Yoga. So tapas, swadhyaya, and ishwar pranidhan. These are three practices that he has included. T-A-P-A-S, tapas, swadhyaya, S-V-A-D-H-A-Y-A, and ishwar pranidhan, I-S-H-W-A-R, ishwar pranidhan, P-R-A-N-I-D-H-A-N. Tapas, swadhyaya, ishwar pranidhan. These three, you can say, attitudes are incorporated by the intermediate level student, and then they can move ahead in their journey, right? So tapas is austerity. Okay, now austerity doesn't mean going in extremes, right? Even though most of the examples you would have seen, they go into extremes, right? But the yogi prepares himself, or yogini prepares herself to go in that kind of extremity, right? So for us, if we think that, okay, we will leave food for 10 days, we will just go and sit straight, right? We will go in seclusion. It is too much, right? You have to keep the preparation also equal, right? So the yogi only does these things when they are ready, right? So what we are ready for, we can interpret this as that, okay? Whatever you are ready for, which is out of your comfort zone. So there is a very fine line between, getting out of your comfort zone and overstretching yourself, right? If you overstretch, then you will cause an injury. Take the example of any asana, right? So suppose you want to achieve full split, okay? So you start practicing. You get comfortable with your practice, okay? So now if you get comfortable, if you don't push yourself, right? So then you won't make any progress, right? So you have to push yourself a little bit. But if you push yourself too much, then you cause an injury, right? So there is this gap between the area out of your comfort zone and before you over stretch yourself, right? So that area you can experiment in this area, right? And this only comes with more and more awareness. Okay, now you will ask, if you have this question, this question comes up: how do we know? How do we get to know, right? The process in itself will make you more aware. If you are connected to your practice, suppose you are doing asana practice and you are thinking of something else, or your mind is lost somewhere else, right? you are not connecting with your practice, that is when you will cause yourself an injury, right? So the first thing is to stay connected to yourself. If you are connected, you will know this, you will clearly see this fine line. Okay. So tapas is actually going a little bit beyond, right? So it is harder, right, than the normal practices that you do. Suppose now fasting, it has, such immense benefits, right? So you think that, okay, let us fast 4 times in a week, right? So no, go for fix one day to begin with. So that one day will be out of your comfort zone, right? One day you are giving rest to your system, right? You have decided this one day I'm going to keep. So this is building up your willpower, right? So 6 days you are eating whatever you want to in the beginning, okay? In the beginning, you eat whatever you want to, but on that one day you incorporate some amount of discipline, right? This will act as tapas for you, right? So intermediate level student has already chosen the practice, has been doing it for some time. Then they incorporate this attitude of tapas or austerity, right? And because they have read the first chapter and now they have come to the second chapter, now they have come to the practices they have to do. So when these practices transition into advanced level practices, again they know their way, abhyas and vairagya. So they will go ahead on their journey. So they already know what are the advanced practices because they have read the text in proper format, right? Then next thing is your swadhyaya or introspection, you can say, or self study, right? Again, tapas is supported by self study, right? When you are connected to yourself, when you are seeing each and every day your own patterns that are coming up again and again, that is when you become more aware what is right for you, what is not, right? So this constant attitude of introspecting, right? Maybe at the end of the day, you're just reflecting back on you. So whatever mistakes you have made, the main focus of the reflection is this only, that next time you deal with that situation differently if you feel you haven't dealt with that situation correctly, right? So when you constantly question yourself, look at yourself more objectively, study your own self. You are your own you are the experiment lab, right? The yogi recognizes this thing. The yogi doesn't experiment on anybody else. All the experiments of the yogi are on themselves, right? You practice like some form of yoga one day, then some other form of yoga some other day. So you're experimenting. You are seeing how your body is reacting. You are trying to understand what posture is best for you. When you even sit in meditation of a pranayama, you are constantly experimenting and seeing what your body is comfortable, right? So this comes with an introspective attitude only, right? And you can also, on the beginner level, swadhyaya means studying the texts that are connected to the reality, right? So you can, but when one comes on the intermediate level, then the other aspect overpowers, where they are constantly, checking in with themselves, right? So beginner level, when we talk of Ashtanga Yoga, then the beginner level practice will apply more because the beginner needs to change the environment, right? Then the third attitude, Ishwar Pranidham or surrender to God. Surrender is the most powerful thing that you can do, right? Bhakti Yoga has been considered to be one of the greatest forms of yoga. Even Lord Krishna himself said in Bhagavad Gita that this is the highest form. He loves the bhakti, right? So unless and until you don't have a sense of surrender towards what you're doing, you will never create space to learn more, right? Now you think that, okay, you have, achieved this thing, or as per your understanding, you have accomplished this thing. So you will stop. People stop when they make conclusions out of situations, they stop, right? And it is this, stopping which doesn't allow them to move ahead, right? There is always so much more you can achieve, right? So when basically the intermediate level student doesn't have to stop. They have to go towards the advanced level, right? So when you surrender your actions, when you surrender yourself, you are getting free from all the assumptions. You're getting free from all the obstacles that your mind will create for you, right? You are just saying that, okay, let me surrender to my practice. Let me allow it to, bring about a change in me, right? Over here, it's not I am practicing and the change will come. Let the practice, aid me or take me forward, right? So the entire attitude changes. Earlier, the ego is very, very high. You are like, I am doing this, I am putting a constant effort. Then, till the time you reach the intermediate level, you surrender, right? Initially, also in beginner level, also there is a sense of surrender, but that is more mechanical in nature. When you reach the intermediate level, this sense of surrender, it frees you. There is so much freedom when, we surrender. As kids, we are surrendered to the authority of our parents, right? We are so tension free, right? We don't care. We are like, okay, इतने से इतने बजे खेलने जाना है तो अब तक वापस आना ही आना है. We never question the authority. इतने बजे तक you have to come back home, right? And think of your childhood. You were so free. Authority was still there. It was getting imposed, but you were not fighting it, right? So when you surrender to something or someone, or in this case to God, right, the highest power that you consider, right, it could be any God, no restriction on that. Or in fact, I believe anything that you feel is worthy of your surrender, that thing will help you to uplift yourself. Okay, so now what happens? Sometimes we surrender to the things which are bad for us. Okay, so not in that sense. When you surrender, you leave the burden behind. जो भार हम क्रिएट कर लेते हैं, this is my responsibility, this is what I have to do, the burden gets removed when you surrender. जो हो रहा है, let's see, let's observe, let's allow it to happen, right? So it will help you to get beyond that barrier, right, and move ahead. So these three attitudes, when incorporated in the already existing practice, they will take the intermediate level student to the advanced level, right? Then they know what they have to do at the advanced level. Then they move towards their final goal, right? Any doubts so far? Okay. All right. So let's move to the most famous form that everybody is aware of, Ashtanga Yoga. Right? 8 limbs of yoga. ASHTANGA. Ashtanga Yoga. So this is the practice given for beginner level of Rajayoga, right? This is now the practice. So most of the people, they consider that Rajayoga is only Ashtanga Yoga, right? But there are different levels of practice, right? So now, if you are beginning on the path of Rajayoga, how you have to proceed, right? This will give you insight into that. Now, it's very important to understand it is a step-by-step process. So means you cannot, like, sometimes out of fun we climb 2 or 3 stairs at a time, right? So you have to make sure you climb each and every step, okay? Because even though the first 2 steps are not given too much relevance, they help you in all other practices in ways that you will not recognize, okay? So when you are going for Raj Yoga, this is the by default, these are the by default instructions that you have to follow. You can understand this because from asana everybody tries to practice, right? But the 2 steps before it form the foundation, a sense of character. It is very, very important. right? And if that lacks in a yogi, then that person is comes under question, you know, right? In the modern times, so many spiritual people, they are being questioned because they're not working on the development of their character, right? Meditation sab kar rahe hain, everybody is doing meditation, right? But this sense of character, where you are in a situation where nothing is supporting you, but still you are taking the decision, right, which is correct, this is very very important, right? Then no matter which other practice you do, right, it will only get deeper because you carry this sense of self, you know you carry this way of conduction with you, right? And the yogi, if you ever come across a yogi, they will not tell you they are liberated, they will not tell you that they are practicing yoga. When you look at the way of conduction of the yogi, you will yourself become aware कि ये योग करते हैं, उनके एक एक वे ऑफ एक्शन में आ जाती है ये चीज, अलग से नहीं दिखानी पड़ती, अलग से बोलना नहीं पड़ता कि हम योग कर रहे हैं या हम ऐसा कर रहे हैं, अपनी लाइफ में ऐसा कर रहे हैं. This practice is not to show off, right? But because of this practice, so much cleansing takes place that it reflects in the character. It reflects in how you are existing in your day-to-day life, right? So these 8 limbs, I consider the first two to be very, very important. That is why I'm talking a little bit more on them than the others, right? Because others you are already doing, you're already covering in detail. But these ones are very, very important, right? Okay, so yama is the social are the social ethics, YAMA. This is the first limb. Then we have niyama, NIYAMA. These are personal ways of conduction, how you have to be with yourself. Okay. Then third limb is asana, ASANA. Then we have pranayam, PRANAYAMA. So expansion of the vital force. So the next is your fifth pratyahar, withdrawal of senses, PRATYAHARA. Then we have dharana, DHARANA, dharana or concentration. Dhyan or meditation, 𝐷HYANA. Last is samadhi or absorption, SAMADHI. Yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. So all the 8 limbs are forming a structure into how you have to begin. Right? So if you have ever gone for any deep kind of meditative program or anything of that sort, they have their certain set of rules. Pehle se they set like, okay, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do this, you have to do this thing, you have to do this thing, right? So those are basically the yamas and niyamas, right? That okay, you have to remain this way, you don't have to, say any lies, or you don't have to, you know, indulge in any toxicants at that point of time. Talk, any kind of these things, right? So these are actually yamas and niyamas. And for the Raj Yogi, these form the foundation, like I said already, right? So when you practice them, that is when you can understand the other practice that you are being taught, right? So when you keep your posture stable and when you keep all other factors constant, then you are able to analyze, if I do pranayam, what is happening, right? So in that same way, this is actually stabilizing all other factors. This forms uniformity, right? And if yamas and niyamas are followed by people around you, the world would be so much better, right? So yamas are actually talking about the social ethics, right? Now, it is so wonderful the way in which Patanjali has designed this, because he understood that it is not easy to leave the society behind again, right? So the person exists in harmony with the environment around them, the people around them, right? So yamas were given with this perspective in mind, that okay, what kind of behavior will put one person in harmony with everything around, right? So you don't have to live your lives. You can change the way in which you are already interacting, right? So first thing that he said, there are 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. Okay, so the first yama is called ahimsa, non-violence. Okay, AHIMSA. Then second one is satya, SATYA, truthfulness. Third is aste, ASTEYA, aste or non-stealing. Then fourth is brahmacharya, celibacy, BHRAMACHARY, brahmacharya. And your last one is called aparigraha, which is non-possessiveness. 𝐴𝐵𝐴RIGRAHA. Okay, so there are 5 yamas, then there are 5 niyamas also. So let's first discuss the 5 yamas. Right? So how should one interact with the society? First thing, with non-violence, right? Just because something is not working according to you doesn't give you the free way to become violent, right? Or if you see the from a diet perspective also, we are blessed with so many things around us. So why go into the system of violence when kill an animal, right? You are going towards the violent attitude, right? Even if you don't kill the animal, right? But you consume that thing. So you are supporting that industry, right? On a beginner level, just this recognition is enough, right? Just this level of recognition should come in, that because of my wants or desires, there is some hurt that is being caused. So where all can I minimize it, right? On deeper level, it comes up on so many things, but let's leave that behind, right? Just on the surface level, if you feel that, okay, if I am buying packed food, right, then the plastic use is increasing, right? Means I'm hurting the environment, right? So you stop either consuming those things or you shift to more organic things, right? And these things are also going to make your life better. So initially, sometimes the motivation of people is that they support the environment a lot, right? But as they change their diet, as they change their way of living, they see that they are living more peacefully, right? Now, if you think that you go and buy something, if you go and get something that is hurting the environment in some or the other, right? Or maybe your, on a beginner level, your money is, channeled towards some industry which is overall, causing harm to the world, right? Then at least you can stop that consumption or reduce in the beginning, right? It doesn't, violence doesn't mean that you are specifically going and killing someone, right? Violence is also shown on a mental level. Now suppose I am not acting, right, but I really want to uh, cause harm to some person, right? So this is what violence on a mental level, right? So you can, even if not very deeply, you can begin to make some changes that drive you towards a more non-violent, attitude, right? अब माइंड में थॉट आ रहा है तो रिफ्लेक्ट करो, कॉन्स्टेंटली रिफ्लेक्ट, why am I getting this thought? Each and every thought that you have, it has a motivation behind it. You should always question that, why am I feeling this way, or why am I even having this thought? मुझे किसी को हर्ट क्यों करना है, राइट? ये क्यों आ रहा है, right? You should at least begin to analyze it, even if you cannot stop it, and you shouldn't, right? It will stop as you clean yourself, right? But you should constantly reflect. It will help you to lead your life in a more non-violent way. So violence isn't just the surface level things that we think, okay? It is going on within us, and even in the little things that we do every day, right? So yogi never goes against the environment, never goes against nature. Actually, environment is not the right word, nature, right? So is in sync with nature, is in harmony with nature, doesn't, works basically, doesn't take any transportation, knows that what kind of impact that transportation will have, doesn't own too many things, knows what kind of industry is developing, right? I'm talking about if you come across a true yogi, right, who is actually practicing yoga. Yeah. So these things begin to come up on their own because the yogi deepens the awareness, becomes aware that each and every action that I do, this is the consequence, right? very deeply is able to analyze, because sense of awareness, it begins to deepen a lot as you practice yoga, right? Now, when after these 26, 27 days, when you observe the things around you, you will be able to look at little things, no one around you will be able to, but you are able to observe. Why is this happening? Because you have worked for the entire month, right? And you have gone through that process. अब आपको दिख रहा है एक छोटी छोटी चीज से क्या हो रहा है, क्या फर्क आ रहा है, right? So the attitude of non-violence is brought in, right? And it comes by default also. It comes initially, it might seem a little bit mechanical, but it will come as you deepen your practices, right? Then the next thing is your satya, or truthfulness, right? So now truthfulness doesn't mean your truth or my truth, right? If you are a common friend to two people who are in conflict, you will listen to one side, you will say their side is justified. Then you will listen to the other side, you will say their side is also justified. ये भी जैसा सोच रहे हैं वो भी ठीक है, वो भी जैसा सोच रहे हैं वो भी ठीक है, पर सोच इतनी अलग है, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो गया, right? So what is happening? That person is living their truth, this person is living their truth, right? But when satya is talked of, satya means the universal truth. Are you living your life according to the universal truths, right? You know everything. Now again and again in your classes it is repeated, everything is impermanent, everything is impermanent. But all decisions we seem to make in life, drive us more towards the, they are taken more towards the permanent attitude, right? So you should buy a vehicle, right? So you have this desire, okay, you want to buy this vehicle. So permanence, this decision has a lot of permanence in it, right? Because what you are thinking, you will live forever, right? You will require that thing forever, right? And then in the previous, before my generation, the earlier generation in my parents' times, they were driven, you should have your own house, you should have your own house, right? They pushed, their parents pushed them. तो house को क्या करोगे, right? You're not going to live forever, right? But all the decisions are made according to that, right? So constantly we are told everything is impermanent, and then we run in the direction where we are taking decisions that as if everything is permanent. We are living our lives as if everything will remain this way, right? You never really know what's going to happen. Nobody predicted COVID, right? But since COVID came in, the way in which people are making decisions today, it has changed so drastically, right? You will see this thing, the upcoming generations, they are making the decisions more in alignment with what they want rather than, what they are told by the society, right? And even generations which have been following the general trends of society, now even those people are breaking it. So it doesn't mean that, okay, the generations that are coming in, only they are taking those kinds of decisions. As time is changing, all the generations, they are taking decisions with other priorities in mind, right? So this attitude of permanence, हम हमेशा रहेंगे, right? Or everything is going to be this way. It's not true anymore, right? And COVID has given us a very, very big shock in this case, right? Just when you think COVID is going away, another variant comes up. Right? That is what is going on right now also. जब सबने सोचा चलो अब खत्म हो गया, वैक्सीन भी आ गई, right? You got 2-3 doses also done. Then again another variant came in, right? So actually life is like that. So when you see how the yogi lives, their way of living is in harmony with the universal truths, right? If they meet someone, they meet them with a lot of joy. But if that person doesn't meet them again, they are just fine with it. They're not consistently crying, sobbing, when breakups happen, people keep crying, Are chale gaye, right? Or this person left me, right? So what is happening? This madness, all the time we are creating so much suffering for ourselves because we are so away from the ultimate realities, right? And the yogi, that is one of the reasons why the yogi seems to be very peaceful or harmonious, because they are making the decisions, right? Or they're living their life with the, awareness of the realities of life and the truths of life. So Satya over here, of course, it will eventually show up on your mental level. You know how we lie to ourselves sometimes, on your speech level, action level, right? The truth begins to seep into your life as well, right? Then the third one is your aste, or non-stealing. Okay, so now you know how sometimes you pay for something and you feel entitled, right? You are just like, now that I have paid for maybe this hotel, so I will take all the sugar packets that are there. I will take all the water bottles that they gave in the room. It's very common. I'm not talking out of just like that. It is common. It's quite common, right? So we feel that because we have paid, we are entitled to something, and we forget that it is actually from the nature that we are deriving everything, right? All the electricity, all the water, all the resources, you are deriving from the nature, right? You can never uh, you know compensate in the form of money, right? So this non-stealing attitude is more about taking the permission, right? अब अच्छा आप पे कर रहे हो किसी चीज के लिए, तो even if you want to take that thing with you, it's okay, take the permission, right? There's just a little bit difference, right? जिसने permission ली और जिसने नहीं ली, right? And the results of these two actions, same action is done, you have taken a thing, right? But one thing is you take the permission, one thing no. The result of this same action, when the intention changes, when the attitude of permission has been incorporated, it will change so much. The result will be so different, right? Both the results will be different in their nature, right? How the fruit will come, right? So you have to be very, very careful, right? It helps you to get free from this sense of entitlement that you have. ये भी मेरा है, ये भी मेरा है, ये तो ले ही लेते हैं, right? In Indian people, this is too much, right? Like how we, order one plate of something, right? Some food you want to eat, and then you get one or two more things. कि चलो वहीं खड़े होके खा रहे हैं, right? So take the permission. Always take the permission of the person from whom you are acquiring that thing. It will help you to feel more grateful also for the things you have. We go about our lives feeling हमारे पास कुछ नहीं है, we don't have anything, right? When you begin to ask, right, you see how much you have, right? So this attitude of non-stealing is very, very important, right? Always, give the fair value, or if it is yours, then okay, it is yours, but like you would like it that somebody takes your permission when they are using something that you want, and that same way give the same exchange, right? Ask somebody if it doesn't belong to you, that thing, and then you know consume that thing, right? So next is your brahmacharya. Okay, so this is very easily misunderstood. Okay, brahmacharya can be broken down in two terms: brahm and acharan. Okay, brahm is the creator, right? If you come in the Hindu mythology, brahm is considered to be the source of creation, right? And acharan, right? Acharan is behavior, right? So behavior like the creator of this entire universe, right? Whatever you see around, right? So behavior like that is actually the attitude of brahmacharya. But very loosely translated, it is also known as celibacy, right? So this is the loose translation of this term. And, a lot of people who, step into spirituality, they, suppress their sexual desires, okay? And this is not the correct thing. Okay, as human beings, we have certain urges, right? If you suppress those urges, you will cause disease in your body. First thing, this should get clear, right? If you are having certain urges in your body, and you suppress them, you will cause disease. So for us, brahmacharya, what can it mean? And that is very advanced level and ho jata hai. So what happens is yogi does by choice doesn't, prepares himself so much that by choice they know that they are not going to participate in this urge, right? It comes naturally, man bhi nahi karta, right? You don't have even your desire towards sexual activities is it begins to fade away, right? So you have to reach this stage naturally. If you force it, then there is no point. Okay, so I personally believe this thing that if you have to force this thing, that means that it is better off if you indulge in sexual activities. It is better off, right? Because आप अपनी body की need को नहीं deny कर सकते. You cannot deny the needs of your body, right? So how can you change this thing? Now when you engage yourself in sexual activities, start becoming more mindful, right? Be aware, right? When you are engaging in the sexual intercourse, be aware. Acha ye sensation hai, or maybe my breathing is this way, or maybe my heartbeat, how the heartbeat is changing, right? It could be anything for you. Whatever helps you to connect with your own self when you are engaging in such activities, it is a great point to begin with. You don't have to go into extreme and just leave everything behind, right? It should come naturally. Brahmacharya comes in the yogi naturally, right? And brahmacharya is only, there is a proper reason why, this thing is said, right? That don't engage in sexual activities because the energy can only travel in two ways, right? One, it can go up and one, it can go down, right? So when the common person, they are fine with the downward movement also. But the aim of the yogi is the upward movement of the energy, right? So it will, go in the opposite force if they engage in sexual activities, right? So for them, it is important, right? And when they naturally keep on practicing, this stage comes very naturally to them. So guys, never force this thing, okay? Even if you are feeling ki, because in our society it is not talked about, sex is a very taboo kind of topic, right? So we are not allowed to talk about it, we are not allowed to discuss about these things. But and most of the people, they suppress their desires, which is again not good. So many of the diseases, you will not believe this thing, they show up on your mental level, on your body level, because this basic urge is being suppressed, right? So just change your attitude towards it. Just try this thing. You can experiment with all the yamas and niyamas. And in the beginning level, you can see what wavelength you can practice at, right? Because keeping the consistency in practice is important, right? So agar aap consistency nahi maintain kar pa rahe and you are aiming for too ideal, right? Then again you will get stuck. Then you will get stuck in yamas and niyamas only, right? Then the mind will consistently generate guilt, right? मैं क्यों नहीं कर पा रहा, मैं क्यों नहीं कर पा रही, I'm not able to do this thing. Why is this happening? So your mind plays multiple games with you, right? So you have to be free from this guilt. So whatever level at which you can incorporate the yamas and niyamas in the beginning, it is okay, as long as you are putting in the work, right? Then the last one is your aparigraha or non-possessiveness. So this is again a very important attitude that everybody should develop, right? So you will see this thing, and it is very commonly observed. So many people, they are struggling to have their basic necessities fulfilled. So let me take the example of clothes, right? So a lot of people, you will see the inventors, especially, they struggle a lot. Not ample clothing is there, right? Now, I really want you to ask this question. Do you think ample clothes are not produced? It is the attitude of possessiveness of the human being that so many clothes are out there today. Every day a shop closes, a mall closes, right? There are so many clothes, but it is this attitude of possessiveness which creates a barrier in the process of reaching the person who actually needs it, right? And we are possessive about so many things in our lives, right? हमसे छोड़ा नहीं जाता, right? And this goes away very later, right? This attitude of possessiveness is there within us, right? And we have created these barriers. हमने decide करा for this brand, this is the amount you should pay. Then you can have a Levi's jeans, right? Or somewhere from this or that brand, right? But we are forgetting that the basic necessities of someone, so many people, they die because hypothermia ho jata hai, right? It is our possessive attitude which is driving the society, the system of the society in this way. And it is very, very sad, right? And I'm not free from this, right? So I'm very possessive about my clothes, okay? So I'll give you my story only. I'm very possessive about my clothes. If I give my especially my t-shirts, if I share my t-shirt with someone, means that that person is very, very important to me. मैं ऐसे अपनी t-shirts किसी को नहीं देती, right? So my sister, she is like too much into social things, right? She's just like, wherever I can donate, I should donate everything. And I'm not too active about this, right? So in the lockdown, what happened? One day she came. So she does this every few months, right? So she goes and she donates clothes to some or the other organization, right? I was never that kind of, social activist kind of person, and she has always been that, right? So every time she takes out some clothes from her wardrobe, she tells everybody in the family, apna apna bhi check kar lo, right? Whatever you want to give, go and check. So during the lockdown, one day she came and she was just like, you go and check your almirah. I know you don't wear a lot of t-shirts that you have, so go and sort those out, right? So I said, okay, I will do that. So I went to my almirah and I started, taking out the t-shirts, right? And look at my mind. Okay, so now because I don't want to give away my t-shirts, one time my mind is going, I only have one color, in my entire wardrobe, red ki ek hi t-shirt hai, right? Only one t-shirt I have in red color. So let me not give this away. Okay. I have only worn it 1 or 2 times, but no, red only one I have. So I should keep it, right? Then I was sorting, then I got one polo t-shirt. So I was just like, polo to yahi hai. Okay, I have so many black t-shirts, but I only have one polo, right? So ये तो रखना बनता है, right? So like this, so many t-shirts, I just put them, I should keep them, right? This somebody gifted me, I cannot give it away. That somebody gifted me, I cannot give it away, right? So like that, I came with this much of a pile, right? And my sister gave me a look. She was just saying, what happened? You have so many t-shirts. And I couldn't answer her. But at that point of time, I noticed this possessive attitude that I have towards my clothes, right? And it was very easy for me to see because I already know I am very possessive, right? And I am literally telling you, I have literally worn 1 or 2 t-shirts, more than 1 or 2 t-shirts, right? 4, 5 t-shirts, only 1 or 2 times, right? Then when you sort out your closet like this, you become very excited. For 1 week, I wore all the colors, right? Polo bhi pehni, red bhi pehni, sab pehna, right? And after 1 week, I was back to 2 t-shirts, 2 hoodies, 2 lowers. Life chal rahi hai, right? So, this kind of attitude, it's there, but we have to work towards becoming free from it because if I would have been free from this, I would have been able to help someone more, right? So even I am working on these things. So little by little, I'm trying to, let go of the t-shirts that I have. But it could be anything for you also in your life, right? So, reflect. Take out the time to think what you are possessive about, right? And see how you can, become more free from it because it becomes a burden, right? When I had to sort the t-shirts out, it became a burden, कि नहीं देना. It made me feel so good, right? And it could have so easily helped someone who needed them, because I always end up coming back to two sweaters, two lowers, two jackets, and for years I have the same jackets, the same sweaters, the same t-shirts, and I don't understand why my mind is stuck, right? But it happens, right? So today, take out the time, reflect on the yamas, and see what changes you can make in regard to all these five things, right? So any questions, any doubts?
I wanted to discuss something. So when we were discussing about um, this brahmacharya and everything, so I've seen many practices that are going around that boys at very young age, when they aren't even have reached the puberty, or before that they are asked, or yeah, they are teaching themselves to chant the mantras, which I'm not against about. But I was currently talking to a little boy who is just in third grade, and just out of curiosity and making a conversation, I asked him that what would you like to become in future. And he's like that, I want to become a saint, a sadhu. And he said that because he's been practicing some type of religion, which makes them go to the temple and chant mantras for every Saturday and Sunday for 2 days in a week. And that's what the perspective the the child has at a very tender age. So no, that is what I wanted to ask about, that how, like, some of the religions, they are working that way to maybe just to socialize themselves, or get their religion to a platform. But isn't it like an incorrect form of practice that they are teaching at a very young age?
See, actually, the point of view of religion is from a very spiritual perspective, right? But they don't understand. So when this religion is passed down, so they don't understand this thing, that the a normal human being has certain desires, right? So now what happens? I will tell you what happens when this thing happens, right? So I also have a niece, and she is like she has been taught a lot of things, right, very young age. So she consistently goes into guilt. So urge to आएगी, right? The urge will come, but because you are taught something else. So this is where religion is suppressing this topic. ये हो रहा है. So now desire comes up, but the person ends up feeling guilty कि मुझे desire ही क्यों आया, right? Why am I having the desire in its? They question the desire, right? The point is not to question the desire. That is where, because religion is passed down in such a uniform or mechanical way, these little things are missed. That is why I said this thing, brahmacharya, even though it is seen as celibacy, you have to see where you can start, है ना? आप एकदम एक एक्सट्रीम से दूसरे एक्सट्रीम में नहीं जा सकते. आप ये नहीं कह सकते one day you are having the desire to own a house and then other day you just get free from that desire. Most people, they want this only because we live in a fast paced society. Now you order from Amazon today, you might get a delivery today itself, right? So our brain is also consistently being immediate being trained to see immediate results, and yoga will not show you immediate results. It will prepare you for a long term journey, right? All the little changes you put in every day will long term mein. So his approach or his thinking is not incorrect, right? But right now, because he is at a tender age, it is very important to make him understand this thing also, that it is a natural urge. This is what being human is, right? The all of these urges that we have, they are human. ये चीज अगर आपने साथ में incorporate कर दी, तो वो guilt से बच जाएंगे, right? This inner conflict that we create in ourselves, that am I moral or am I not? People struggle with this thing a lot. It's not just somebody who is spiritual. If I have been trained to think in a certain way, And some point in my life, I go to some place where the tradition is totally different and opposite. People don't are unable to practice. ये भी नहीं कि वो नहीं करना चाह रहे. They are unable to practice because training has been done such in such a way. And then guilt comes in. क्योंकि ना कि वो इस कम्युनिटी का पार्ट हो पा रहे और ना कि वो अपनी कम्युनिटी के साथ कनेक्ट कर पा रहे. ठीक है. So this thing should be, even if some, you know, little kids are there in your home, you should give the other side as, I think, पूरा information होना चाहिए. Religion gives you one side mostly, and that you should come to yourself. So yoga's journey is all about you coming to the point of brahmacharya yourself. जहाँ आपने you know, yogi knows what the sense objects, what kind of pleasures the sense objects they can give, but they choose कि अब इससे फ्री होना है क्योंकि ये साइकिल बनाएगा, right? So give them the full kind of information when you feel that the children of in your house, they are ready for that. वो आपकी judgment पे depend करेगा, right? Yeah.
Yeah, matlab, that's exactly what my point is. Like, if you're running such, you're teaching someone something which is related to the moral of life, of how you want to govern your life, and then at this tender age, when it is, I personally felt that it was like a sort of brainwashing that kid at a very young age. So that was just my perspective, but yeah, again, I wanted to know, so thank you so much.
It is, it is. It's quite confusing. धीरे धीरे समझ आता है with your own experience. Yeah. So your therapy ma'am, I think she was always here already. So I'll close today's session just with Om Shanti. Om Shanti, guys. I will see you in your pranayam class in the afternoon. So take care and bye bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.